We have some very serious business to attend to. It's time to organise our new pins. If you caught my last video, I think it was my last one, or if you have been kind of keeping up with me on TikTok, you will know that my partner and I have recently been collecting Disney pins or certain enamel pins with Disney characters on, ready to build our collection. This, to give you a bit of a backstory, stemmed from our recent trip to Disneyland, where we basically both got obsessed with collecting Disney pins. We have actually a really good collection so far, kept in this pin trading bag, but then we decided to take this one step too far, and inspired by Blake Silver, I now have a case. I spent about an hour last week on one of my days off organising this case so that me and Joe could safely store our new pins, ready for any occasion where we may be taking them outside of the flat, ready to trade, collect more, show them off. This is what's inside each of the cases, a piece of foam. The idea is that we can very safely just store the pins in the foam, keep the backs of the pins in another container, and then it just means we can trade easily. It's as simple as that. I have the fun task of putting our pins in the cases. As I said, we've been keeping a big chunk of our collection in this bag. However, within about 10 minutes, we had already filled this bag with pins. And yeah, we need to find a new way of storing our collection. Why don't you organise some pins with me? The idea is that I should be able to just stick the pins in this foam. I cut up 16 pieces of foam that sort of measured exactly to the box, and then this can just slot in and I can keep my pins safely in here without harming anybody. So we could do a little tester. This is a pin that I received yesterday in the post. This is a really beautiful Disney 100 pin for Princess Tiana and her dress. It does come with a back. I know that you can buy, I know that you can buy fancy like back pullers, so you don't kind of get really sore fingers if you're, I guess, a really heavy collector. But what I'll do is I'll get a little tub just to keep these safe in for whenever we do need to take the pins out. And hopefully this should work. And there you go. If the foam doesn't seem like it's going to be as strong as we thought it was, this was a really kind of affordable option for me while I just started organising my pins. And as I said, the inspiration for this came from a creator called Blake Silver. He actually used like a cork board inside, and as it was kind of self-adhesive on one side, so it was stuck down and really secure to the tub. I personally couldn't find the matching cork boards that he used in his video, just because the links he provided were of course for Amazon.com, which is a US version. And I was just getting a bit nervous looking at all of the cork, thinking I don't even know if it's the right density or kind of thick enough for what I want to do. Plus it was a little bit more money, so at the time I was like, oh, I'd rather get foam, just to save a little bit of money while I experiment and figure out how's best to store our pins. However, I think I can already tell, even though these are perfectly safe right now, you can see that they're staying in there. Some of the pins, such as this one, are a little bit heavier, and I can see that they're probably going to pull a little bit more on the foam, and I just don't want to damage them. You know, these things do cost money. You collect them because you have a lot of pride in them and you want to keep them safe. So For now, the foam is a good solution just while we're building our collection a little bit, but in the future I'll probably invest in a little bit of cork just to make sure they're extra safe. Just a little side note, because I was just looking through just the pins that we've got over the past couple of weeks, and then I was thinking like, oh, I wonder if I've got any pins to put in these little containers from our bag. And when I actually look at what pins we've already collected, we've actually got like a really nice little collection. And when I'm flipping through, it's just making me smile like a giddy child. And this is why I think Joe and I have connected so much with pin collecting and the idea of pin trading in the future. Something as simple as this, even down to the bag, and having it all spaced out and looking cool, brings me so much joy. This is something that I think I said in my previous video. We sat down on our final day, long story short, and we had a couple of hours to kill before we needed to leave the park and head to the train station. So we decided to get a drink, have a pizza to share, and we just sat and we put all of our brand new pins in this bag, which I bought that day. And genuinely, out of the 4 days that we were at Disneyland, that was one of my most favourite memories that I took away from that trip. We had such a good time, and as I say, we have already booked our next trip back. But just that experience of us sitting on a quiet little table in one of the restaurants in the park, eating our food, we were drinking Coke Zero, I think, and just putting our pins away. And I was like, this is such a simple task, but we're having the most fun. I've got some really funny photos that I took of Joe when he realised probably how far his addiction had got him within the first kind of 30 minutes of that particular day, which I'll put here. Sorry, Joe. But it was just so funny, and it was all really lighthearted. He wasn't actually stressing, he was just laughing at himself because of how far this went. But creators such as Blake Silver, which I have mentioned a couple of times, he creates really wholesome content. He's gotten me into pins, he's got me into Disney bounding. I've even got my eye on a couple of lounge flies because I've seen some of his videos, and I never thought I would be that type of adult, I'll be honest, but I am just so obsessed now, but in a great way, in a way that just makes me feel really wholesome and really content. I have one more pin to put away in this particular collection. This is one of my favourites, and I think it's really beautiful. I do believe this is part of a much bigger collection that you can start to build, but for now I'm just keeping it within my Princess and the Frog range, and this is James and Eudora, of course, Tiana's loving parents, and it's in this really beautiful jigsaw piece, which I think this as a range goes beyond the Princess and the Frog, but for now this is perfect for me. So this will be my final Princess and the Frog pin. Of course, I have some key characters missing, so my next mission is to find Raymond and of course Lewis. Those are the next two big contenders, and then we will see where we go from there. I don't want to bore you too much. I guess you guys kind of get the point on what my afternoon now looks like. I now have a couple of boxes filled with my pins. I do think, now I'm looking at our collection, I do want to save some of them for Joe, just because even though he probably won't think as kind of deep into it as I do, he might have a little plan with how he wishes to organise the pins that he's purchased. And I'm also thinking quite a lot of these we did buy as our collection together. And so for now, they may as well stay in this bag just because we're not going to Disneyland anytime soon, unfortunately. We've just got the rest of our pins here. It just makes me so happy. Every single time I open this bag, I'm just like a big giddy kid, and I absolutely love it. Some other pins that I need to organise at some point, but again, I think with Joe, we have a really cool collection growing of Monsters University pins. So we've got Mike, we've got the MU hat, we have the frat and sorority houses. I absolutely love this and I'm so excited to get this whole collection going. A little Monsters University ID badge, which again, just looks really cool. I know I've mentioned this already, but I'm going to keep mentioning it because I feel like it's kind of manifesting it and talking about it until it happens. But I've been in contact with a really lovely Disney personal shopper who is going to Disney in November, and I have organised for her to pick up the Monsters University cap, varsity jacket and Loungefly mini backpack. So I'm kind of considering that part of the collection, and I am working with Joe to try and sort out our spare bedroom so it can become like a shared office space. Right now it is just a single bedroom. It's got a vanity desk in there. It's got a lot of my kind of possessions in there, which was the plan at the beginning. But then we've obviously now curated a little collection of something for us to share. And I just thought, you know what, I don't need a vanity room. I would much rather have like a shared room to put our pins in, have a nice office space, and also start to display like my Loungeflies and any other Disney merchandise that we get. I'm so sorry, I've just realised you've got American Dad playing in your ear. Where is it? There we go. So that's the plan of action for this afternoon. I think I'm also going to film that, but for now I'm going to step away from the pins because you get the idea of what I'm doing and move on to my next task. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please check out Blake Silver if you haven't already, although you probably have. He's amazing. And I will see you in the next one. Bye. Mwah.